Hello and welcome to today's episode of Sight Reading Maverick. It's a very rainy day here, so it's nice to be cozy inside. And we're going to read through a whole bunch of music again, as always. And hopefully we'll find at least something that will be fun and kind of a nice discovery. So if you're new to the show, beneath the video, you're going to see a list of the pieces I'll be playing. You'll also see links to the scores so that you can follow along in IMSLP. On today's show, there's actually going to be one piece that has a score that's elsewhere, I think, or maybe it is, I can't remember. There is one on IMSLP too, and now I can't remember which one I gave you, but hopefully the link works for the Fanny Hensel. Also, if you want to leave comments in the chat box, I always welcome those. And I love to hear comments and feedback about whether or not you like the pieces. I promise you, I will not have my feelings hurt. So if you don't like a piece, because these are all pieces that we're just figuring out together. All right, let's see. I see Nick is here with us already. Hello, hello. Thank you. I hope it'll be a great show. I always have fun. All right, the first piece, speaking of Nick, is a request of his, and this is by Lavignac. How do you say that? Lavignac. And this is his Sonatina in B flat major, opus 25, number 6. So let's take a look. Pretty typical writing for a sonatina. We've got a lot of that kind of Alberti-like left hand with the melody in the right hand. But there is some contrapuntal stuff going on between the voices at points. So that's fun to notice. We've got some scalar things going on. I'm quickly scanning to see, is it chromatic? Is it diatonic? Looks like it's gonna be a mix. So I do have to be on my toes a little bit. But those accidentals often do kind of help me to know. If there's a lot of accidentals, often it's chromatic. Okay, it looks like it's like 3.5 pages. There's nothing else really that noteworthy other than what I already stated. Although I would say that a couple of times it looks like both hands are playing in the same clef. So I have to keep a little bit on my toes about that too. All right, so we have no 16ths or semiquavers in here. So I can maybe be a little bit, well, I don't know. I don't have to go too slowly. And it does say allegro tranquillo. So I'm going to pick a tempo based on this opening melody in the right hand. And then let's see, that would make the Alberti stuff. I think I'm a little slow. That kind of makes me think that. So a little compromise. 1, 2. That was fun. It was a good way to start off the show, actually. I decided to repeat that exposition because there were some harmonic surprises in there that I found kind of cute, and I wanted to make sure that I got them right. So yeah, that was great. Very sweet. All right, next movement is a canzonetta, which is kind of different. I haven't read a whole lot of canzonettas. And it's in 6/8, so it's going to have this nice lilt to it, I think. 2 pages. Left hand is really purely accompanimental. There's a few more lyrical lines that look like they work nicely against the right hand, especially on the second page. So I do notice in the left hand we have this 2 quaver note slurred figure that is prevalent throughout, and I'm going to try not to accent the second of those quavers, which can be tricky. So I'm really going to focus on those bigger beats and try to come away. So we'll see what happens. I also sometimes have trouble with dotted rhythms. It'll be tempting to punch that last quaver of each beat, but hopefully I won't, because it'll make it more graceful. All right, moderato. I think I'm going to base it on this figure here. For me, that kind of has to go a certain tempo for a canzonetta. Who knows why? 1, 2. Was very sweet too. And then I think, let's see, is this the last movement? We are going to end with a polka or a tempo di polka. No, it is. It's a polonaise. Okay, great. And that's kind of different too for a sonatina or for any sort of sonata movement. Haven't seen a lot of polonaises. And a polonaise kind of has to go a certain tempo too. And since it says tempo of a polonaise, I think that's what we're going to go for. Quite a lot of semiquavers in here, but most of those are going to be in the right hand. Wow, we've got some scales at the end. I'm quickly looking, and it looks like they're all just B-flat scales, and it's the same in both hands. It just goes in octaves, so I don't have to worry too much about that. All right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. debating if I should have done that a little bit faster, especially for that middle section where harmonically it was so static. I was kind of, and I probably did nudge the tempo forward quite a bit, but that's okay. Let's see. I see DeWald has joined us. Hello, DeWald. And also hello to Alona. Good to have you here. And Inca Warrior is here. A Polonaise Rondo. That's pretty cool. Indeed, it is. And he did have some variation in there when that A came back. So that was kind of interesting too. So not quite. Sometimes I get a little bored by rondos, but I think that had enough little cleverness in it. So that's good. All right. Next is something completely different. I had planned for another piece on the show, but then I had this last minute request last night by a friend. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. This is Aufderheide's Buzzer Rag. She was apparently one of the most well-known women composers of ragtime during that period that they were so popular. And she had a lot of her rags published. And there was some other notable thing. But before she started writing ragtime, apparently, she was quite the pianist, and she toured around Europe. So kind of interesting. All right, so let's see what a rag is like. I'm a little nervous because there's lots of flats. And rags are hard enough with the left hand being so all over the keyboard. But I can do it, right? So it is A flat major. So, especially for ragtime, I feel it's helpful to make sure that that I'm connecting with how that key, that particular key, feels in my hands, because it's such a harmony-oriented piece, and you just have to. I can't think too much about the notes I'm playing. Anyway, all right. Fortunately, it's marked not fast, and rags are often played too quickly, so my excuse will be that I'm trying to be more stylistically accurate. So, how many pages is it? 3 pages. I may or may not do repeats. We'll see how well it goes. Checking out the introduction, because the introductions are sometimes a little bit more difficult, but I see that it actually just moves in parallel motion between the voices. And the chord in the middle of that stays exact. It's just an A flat. So, piece of cake. All right. 1, 2. rags are such a good exercise in trying to keep the left hand somewhat relaxed while you're doing all of that movement. And I really do enjoy playing rags. And when I'm working with students on them, because they're good for students to do, to work on getting a better kinesthetic feel of the keyboard without looking. And one way I really try to teach it is that the left hand works in two different planes. You've got the bass line, and that's the one that tends to move more. But then you've also got this other plane in that left hand where you've got these chords that tend to stay more in the same territory. And so I think it's important to keep that in mind, and it makes it less overwhelming, because then it's really only one voice that's really doing a lot of the moving on the keyboard. So for what it's worth, that's my strategy. Let's see, DeWald says, love ragtime music, super cute. Richard says, I'm still alive. That is very good, Richard. I'm so glad you're alive. Taking a break from composing. Good, well, I hope you're composing something good. Okay. Next is sort of an unusual request. This is made by Janice, who often watches the show. I don't know if she's with us today watching, but she had requested Fanny Mendelssohn's, it translates to Easter Sonata, and this is a piece that originally was attributed to Felix, her brother. And through the work of, I think it was Angela Christian, who did a lot of research, she knew Fanny's music quite well and did not think, in listening to Felix's sonata, that it sounded like his writing, that it sounded more idiomatic to Fanny's. So she did a lot of research, and she concluded from looking at manuscripts and reading letters by Fanny that this is actually her sonata. So Janice had sent me the music and said she would love to hear it sometime. So I'm going to do the first two movements, I think. No idea what to expect. Sometimes her writing can be a little tricky to play. So we're going to try it. And I'm looking as it gets kind of hairy in here. So I'm kind of trying to choose a tempo based on this more difficult material. But I see a lot of it is arpeggios, so I don't want to take it too slow and jeopardize getting the gist of the piece. So I think I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 1. That was very different, and I definitely don't sense that that was Felix's writing. So that would follow that it might be Fanny's. I don't know her writing well enough to say, oh yes, that's hers. But anyway, interesting. And as you could probably tell, I was very, very much struggling with the tempo for that because I knew all that stuff was coming up, but I kind of regret that I played it a little bit safe because so much of the first part, or the majority, 2/3 of it, was not 16ths. So it might have worked better a little faster. But anyway, next is, let's see, I think DeWald. Oh, well, DeWald liked it. Yay. Okay, that's good. Next is a Largo movement. So let's see what that one is like. Oh, it's kind of long. Okay, definitely not very many fast-moving notes. So maybe I can, I mean, it is Largo though, but, then there's a poco piumoso in the middle. It looks like a fugue. Okay, that'll be interesting. A fugue in the middle of a slow movement. Okay. I think I'm gonna do, I may regret this. That was a little bit hard to follow, but it was really interesting to read, and very different to, have that fugue in the middle there. I wonder if that's partly because she really did write this in honor of the Easter holiday. And so maybe, possibly, I don't know, had to do something with, I don't know, Bach, or I don't know. Let's see. Inco Warrior says, a bit twisty for my taste. Yeah, same with me. Now some of that might be my doing, so we might need to take a listen to an actual recording of somebody legitimately playing it to know for sure. But Alona says, so much information in the first movement. I need to hear it again. Good. Take a listen and see what you think. And Esteban is here with us as well. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. So, Janice, if you're watching at some point, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you give it a try one of these days too. Okay. Next is a request by Nix, and these are by Leonard Butler. These are his Emanations. And the first one, and I think, we're towards the last third of the show, so I'm going to do more reading at this point. First one is called The Sprite of the Mountain Rill. I have no clue what a rill is. Quite curious. Maybe that's an English thing. I don't know. It is marked dansant, so I think it's supposed to be nice and light and dancey. Allegretto, leggero. All these little clues. Let's be a little brave. Okay. 1, 2. That was quite charming. I think I started it too fast, so you probably sensed I pulled it in the reins a little bit. Okay, the next is another allegretto. This one's a grazioso. Come dance with me. Oh, these are all charming little dances. Okay. He likes ledger lines. I'm having trouble with ledger lines today, so got it. One, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's charming as well. And I'm finding I'm leaving a lot of notes out in this piece. I think it's partially just because it's more dense writing. But that's okay. Oh, how terribly sad. The next one is marked sadly. Okay, I'll be sad. I guess that's a nice contrast to the cheery, dancey ones preceding. Okay. All right, I'll try to be sad. One. That was quite fun. I was surprised how tricky it was to deal with all those fermatas. I wasn't quite sure what to do with them. I think so often fermatas need to be thought out about how you want to play with the timing. Okay, next one looks like a lively one again. Vivo e scherzando, and then it moves to an allegretto. And this is called To Dolly Varden, whoever Dolly Varden is. Probably a cheerful soul. Okay, 2 pages. One, two. That was charming too, and that was a really good exercise in trying to keep track of all of the retards and the tempo primos, poco lentos. And because this piece felt a little bit easier for me to read, or maybe it's just today, I felt like I had the time to figure that out. Okay, and then the last in this set is called The Spinning Leaf. I don't really know what a spinning leaf is all about. The only thing I can think of is it's dangling on a spider web, but wow, we're getting awfully poetic here. Okay, poco allegretto. But G minor, so maybe not quite as cheery. What? One. charming. I was trying to think about whether or not these would be good for students. They might be a little bit trickier, but I do like their shortness, and each one does have sort of a different focus and a challenge to them. So that's kind of fun. Richard said something. Let's see. Oh, Janice is here. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of people all of a sudden. Okay, I'll have to read some of these later. Doreen says, seems like you're able to sight read about 2 to 3 bars ahead of the playing. Yeah, it really depends on the piece, Doreen. But I would say, at the best of times, I'm sort of looking that far ahead. And I'm also looking for certain things like cadences. So I'm usually scanning ahead for a variety of clues, not necessarily just the notes, if that makes any sense. I'm also looking ahead to see if there's material that I've already played that's coming up. So Cece is with us. Yay. Okay, I think I'm going to keep reading, but I love all these comments. Thank you. All right, and we're going to close the show with a set of miniatures. I love miniatures. And these are by Cornelius Gurlitt. I guess that's how you say it. From his Opus 172. Janice is asking, do I have absolute pitch? Maybe. It depends on the day. No, I mean, I definitely don't have perfect pitch. Maybe absolute pitch on my good days, if that answers your question. I do use my ear a lot when I'm playing, if that makes any sense. All right, so Nick requested 2, 3, 6, 8, 9, 11, 20. So let me just go ahead and try to read through these. I'm hesitating because the first one he requested is like a page of 16th notes or semiquavers. And it looks very daunting, but I'm kind of analyzing it. And I think it's hilarious that there's a fingering over every single note, practically. How obnoxious. Okay, it's very patterny. And I just marked moderato. I've got it. Okay. If the rhythm was right. Okay, that was pretty tricky, but kind of fun. All right, next is an impromptu, and this one's marked vivace. Oh, these are just a great way to end the show. It's a good challenge. But these fingerings are absolutely driving me nuts. It's so hard when they're there to not read them, but I'm not going to read them. Example of one of the ones that would have been maybe helpful to have looked ahead, because when that big passage came, that is so hard to do. That's a rub your head, pat the tummy type of passage. Whew. All right, good challenge, good challenge. Okay, next is Number 6. These are charming though. I like them. Fondantino. Oh, I was tempted to play this lickety split. My adrenaline is racing. Janice said that was super cute. Yeah, it was. Okay. 1, 2. That was sweet. There was something I was going to say in there, but now I'm forgetting. All right, that was cute. Next is number 8. I think these would be good for sight reading. Okay. Romance. Oh, I'm not looking ahead. This is the part in the show where I just go for it. In other words, be not very smart and just dive in. That was a fun challenge in reading ahead and seeing where the phrase was going to try to make sure that the duet that was going on between the outer voices was happening somewhat. Okay, next is number 9, and my heart is starting to get a little panicky again. We've got a vivace. Yay! But you know what? It's just figurations around arpeggiated things. Anyway, it's arpeggiated stuff, so shouldn't be that bad, right? So I'm just going to be really grasping for those harmonies where the harmonies change. It's kind of tricky rhythmically though. Let's see if you can see why that is. Okay, I'm going to think of it in 1 beat per measure. I just need to know how many pages it is. Okay. honestly fun. And I don't know if you heard the rhythm thing. I just think that was so fun to have it. The right hand is sort of in 2 beats per measure, while the left hand, now I can't do it, but the left hand stays in 3, right hand is more in 2. So it kind of creates this rhythmic vitality that I really like. Okay, next is number 11. We may go over just a few minutes in the show, so if you have to go, thank you for joining me. And thanks to Cece, who's with us, and Nick, and Alona, and Janice for your request this week. All right, elegy is a lento. I usually take slow things too fast when I'm sight reading. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I was thinking, especially in that one, that was again another instance where, to answer Doreen's earlier question about how many measures I'm sort of reading ahead, I think I'm constantly scanning ahead to ascertain what the material is that's coming up, not necessarily the notes themselves. So I'm just looking to see how long phrases are. I'm also, like in that one, there was this really, really cool long line descending near the end. So I wanted to know where the ending of that long line was, so I knew how I could shape, or I could guess how to shape that phrase, so I didn't prematurely end it. But then, in terms of reading the notes, that was more, I would say, reading a measure at a time. So I'm kind of doing both. It's kind of amazing what our brains can do. Okay. And then the last one in this set that Nick requested, my guess is it's going to be hard. Let's see. Oh, yes, vivace. Oh, but non troppo. And in 5 flats. Oh, brilliant. Okay, what a fun way to end. Okay, at least it's all the flats. This is like that ragtime piece trying to feel the keys in my hands. I am looking ahead. Sorry, it's just the way it is. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's all the same arpeggio at the end. One, two, 1, 2. normally do this. I'm going to go ahead and try that one more time. Okay, I'm going to try a little bit faster. It might help. 2, 1. Okay, I think I got a few more notes that time. I wanted to do that again because I wanted to change my strategy. The first time I did it, I think I was getting tired and I resorted to reading all the notes. And I decided the second time, and because we were talking about looking ahead, I decided to focus more on looking ahead and figuring out what the harmonies were coming up and just improvising around. It sort of worked, not at the end, but it was a good try. All right, I want to thank everyone for being here. It's so good to see you. So good to read through all this music. Lots of great stuff. So Nick, thank you for your requests. And Alona, please do go listen back. Oh, not Alona. I keep saying Alona. Alona, you can listen back too. But Janice, listen to the first 2 movements of the Easter Sonata and CC to your rag. I hope you enjoy them. If anyone has any requests for next Sunday, do let me know. You can put a comment on this video, or what else? You can tweet me, Facebook message me, you could email me, all the options. So until then, I hope you have an absolutely wonderful week filled with music and sunshine, but not too much sunshine. And I will see you later. Thanks all.